Hi there. I've just crossed over the footbridge over the River Ashop just below the Snake Inn. Started many a wild camp from this spot. It basically is easy access to the whole of the northern edge of Kinder Scout. One of my favourite areas. Anyway, today I've chosen Fairbrook Naze to camp on. A really beautiful spot up there. I did a recce a few weeks ago, found a nice location, so that's where I'm heading to. Now on a wild camp, you can plan the gear you want to take, you can plan your location, you can plan your food, but the one thing you can't plan is the weather. Now I know we're into February now, and I've sort of missed all the sunny weather and the snowy weather and the cold weather. I just couldn't get out in January. So we're out in February, but it's very dull and overcast. I bet up there in the morning you can't see a thing. So we're going up Fairbrook. I did have thoughts of bringing my drone. I got it all charged up, all ready to go. But I looked at the forecast this morning and it wasn't good at all for flying the drone. If it's overcast, the footage isn't so good, and it actually might be too windy to find it. So I left it at home. The other thing, it weighs 2 kilos, and I don't want to be carrying 2 kilos and not actually use it. But we'll still have a good time. We've got some nice food, a few drinks, so yeah, it should be a nice camp. And like I say, Fairbrook Naze is such a lovely location and that. So I'm going to head off down the path, and I'll torch on the way. I'm not going up Fairbrook Clough following the river. I'm going on a different route. So I'll see you further down the path. Just at the bottom of Fairbrook Clough now. Now normally when I go up Fairbrook, I'll follow the clough, the river, all the way up. There's some beautiful waterfalls and it's a lovely walk. But for a change, as we're camping on top of Fairbrook Naze, I'm going that way. It's sort of more of a straight line. I have been up before, I reckon it, and it's very steep and very direct, but it's just a different way up. We're gonna have to go all the way to Fairbrook itself to pick some water up eventually, but it's just to try a different route. We might come back down Fairbrook Clough. I'll see what it's like in the morning. So we're off up there now, very steep. Very steep. Just having a breather. We've only been going for about 20 minutes, but that's looking down on the old Snake Inn, which is now a private property. Just below there in a lay-by, you can probably make out my little black car. That's where I've left it for the night. I never like leaving it, but it's a risk I take, and it really opens up this northern edge for access, and also Bleaklow as well. But all the way down that section of road there's several lay-bys. all good places to leave your car for day walks or overnighters. As we sweep round, we can see the path we've just walked up, and that's looking basically down the Ashup Valley, following the river in the bottom, and the A57 on its way back to Sheffield. Anyway, can't hang about, time to get going again. Just having a little rest. It's nice to drop into the nice soft heather and get your breath back for a second. That first bit was super steep, but within 15 minutes you've probably done 400 foot. Got a steady slog up here, couple 100 feet, and then one last hard climb up the last bit. But I'll just have a little bit longer and then we'll get off again. I'll talk to you a little bit further on. So this is the last section, probably the steepest bit as well. You probably can't make out, but on top there is like a pedestal rock. That is where we're heading. I'm not actually camping at that spot, but that's where we're heading. As you can see, it's straight up, I reckon about 300-400 feet. If we look over, that's looking towards the top of Fairbrook Clough, just on the left hand side of the picture. We'll walk there to get the water, but it's a nice level walk along the ridge, there's no problem with that. This might be a problem, but I have a little reward once I get to the top. Once I get to that pedestal rock, I can have my reward. So I'll see you up there. Give me 5 minutes. That's better. Just a little rest as I got to the top. That was a hard climb, that last bit. It must have been 60 degrees. I walked about 20 metres, had a rest, another 20 metres. I must have stopped half a dozen times. I think if you ain't got a rucksack, you just walk straight up. But that's £30 and it doesn't half slow you down. But I'm here now and the rest of it is easy. So I have earned my reward. And the reward for climbing up this steep hill, Sambuca time. Now this wasn't planned. It's not that I make a habit of having a drink on every time I climb up a hill. It's just I was sorting out some camping gear and I found a couple of bottles. There was Sambuca, I've got a couple more for later on, and they were left over from that Italian camp. So I thought, well, we better get them drunk or they'll go off. I mean, they'll be 6 months old, they'll be going off soon. So my reward for climbing up this steep hill with this wind tearing into my face is a bottle of Sambuca. Cheers them. Wow. That's got a taste to it. Ooh. Made it all worthwhile. I'm gonna get it drunk before my camera blows over again. But yeah, we're here. We're right on the tip of Fairbrook Naze, because I said if you think Naze means headland, and this is what it is. It's a headland jutting out on the northern edge of Kinder Scout. Oh, very nice. Set me up, that has. New energy in me now. So I'm going to move the camera back and I'll just show you this pedestal rock, give you a better view of it. It is a classic spot, this, for photographs, especially when you've got the sort of early morning sun, which would be that side, or you've got sunset over there and you get the nice light on it. I'm afraid we haven't got any sun, but we'll have a better look at it. I'll move the camera back in a second. So this is, well, I call it pedestal rock. I think that is its proper name. I don't know. I had a quick look before I came out. There were loads of photographs of it, but nobody actually called it a name. But to me, it's like a pedestal, isn't it? It's like a stone on a pedestal. It's actually a work of art that you can have that sculptured by the weather. You've got to think, all this area, well, this is millstone grit, a very hard rock. And if you think the whole area was covered in, I think, sandstone and probably peat, and we're talking Carboniferous age, I understand that's over 300 million years ago. So over those years, probably a big glacier came down and carved out the Ascent Valley, and then all this area up here, the sandstone, was slowly eroded, and it just left the gritstone standing. And that's why we have all these famous rocks like boxing stones, Chinese wall. They're the craggy bits that are left out after the sandstone has been eroded or weathered away over millions of years. But what a fantastic looking rock. The plan was to bring the drone up, get the drone up, and of course stand on top of the rock. But it is a bit blustery. I ain't climbing up it. I gotta look after myself as I get older now. Bit too windy really, you gotta be sensible. But it's just nice to see such a beautiful sculptured rock like that, right on the prominent Fairbrook Naze. Magnificent. Right, the plan now, we're going to head off to Fairbrook itself, the river, collect some water, and then come back. Where I've chosen to camp is only about 200 metres away, so we are going to walk and come back, but it's a nice level walk, so there's no problems. So I'll head down there. We'll probably walk back. I'll try and show you where we're camping on the way down, make sure nobody else is there, and then we'll go and get some water. But yeah, I had thoughts of camping here, but it's too rocky. Be alright to bivvy in summer, too rocky to put the Sulu up though. Yup. Gotta watch it, that Sambuca, strong stuff. Fantastic view down there. So we've just walked a couple hundred yards along the path on the way to collect some water. That little area of grass down there is my chosen campsite for tonight. It's got great views down Fairbrook Clough and also across to the northern edge of Kinder Scout. You can probably make out some rocky outcrops on that northern edge, and one of those is Chinese Wall. Now, I think out of all the camps I've done up on Kinder Scout, that must have been one of the most memorable. It was like camping in an eagle's nest up there, this rocky little ledge high up on the top of one of those crags. As we come back round, that's looking down Fairbrook Clough. You can probably make out the stream in the bottom. Anyway, better get off and collect this water before the light starts to fade. So that's me water. I'll carry that back to camp, get pitched up and then get water filtered. It's a lovely little brook, this Fairbrook, especially in summer. Getting your hands wet and it's windy and cold, not so good. They'll soon warm up though. So we'll head back and get the tent pitched now. Back at the campsite now, so I'm gonna get my tent pitched. The wind's sort of coming this way, but I have got quite a bit of shelter. When we were near the pedestal, it was really blowing, but it's not so bad here. Well, I got it pitched eventually. I had it the other way before, and the wind that's coming this way were really buffeting the side, and I thought that ain't gonna be good for a decent night's sleep. So I turned the whole tent, put the tail straight into the wind. Bit awkward to peg though, with the ground going up, but I did bring a couple of extra pegs, and I've put 4 pegs in, so I've pegged those guys independently at the rear. I suppose that's where the wind's gonna hit. Obviously with the ground falling away at the front, I've had to put shorter guy lines on, but everything seems pretty solid, and hopefully I shouldn't have any problems with the wind. Just a last bit of water to filter, and then get settled in the tent. It's about 5 o'clock now, so yeah, it's gonna go dark soon. I'll be cooking my tea in the dark as usual at this time of year, but it won't be a problem. Be nice and warm and cozy in the tent, and I am quite happy to be there for another 14 hours. Rest my weary body. So yeah, get everything, or a bit of water to do, and then we'll get settled in the tent, I think. And a little bit of final tweaking of the guy lines. Just a last look at the pitch before the light goes. I have a sneaking suspicion it'll be thick fog up here in the morning and we won't see a thing. But yeah, a very nice pitch, looking straight down Fairbrook Clough. That's good, that. Just made a start with my evening meal, my main meal. Simple, cup of soup. Tastes so good, tastes so good. But that'll get some liquid inside me. I think I sweated quite a bit out coming up that hill. So we've got simple soup. Now for my main course, I've gone for the easy option. It's not easy cooking inside a tent. Dehydrated meals, they don't really fill me up. I'm not keen on them, they cost a fortune. I've tried them, but I'm never happy with them. So, alright, I've had to carry this up. But that is probably 1 kilogram of stew and dumplings. We had it a couple of weeks ago, and I said I want to make a big portion because I want to take some camping. So I made a big extra portion for me. I put it in a, you know, like a takeaway tray, that plastic tray, and that were in the freezer, and I've kept it in there. Just before I came out, I've got a vacuum sealer, so I don't think you can see that. It's actually it's sealed in a plastic pack so that it's held closed, and even if it did come undone, it can't leak out. Difficult to carry liquid or stew in your rucksack and it not leak out. So I vacuum sealed it. All I've got to do with that is put it in, oh, it's up there, my big triangular pot, and I've got well, not instant, but I've got a fantastic meal there, and that will fill me up just in case I'm still hungry. I've got steamed pudding and custard, and as I brought my big triangular pot with me, I found you could get 2 puddings in and 1 custard, so you might as well make use of the boiling water while you're cooking it. So that is my meal, and perhaps a cup of coffee later on. So I'm just going to finish this soup off, and then we'll get the stew on the go. I'll try and film it a different way. It's so awkward. I've got a light up, trying to set a camera up on a tripod, and yeah, not easy at all. Roll on the light nights when we don't need to faff about like this. Well, we've got the stew and dumplings on the go now. Slight problem. I think dumplings are supposed to be cooked on top of the stew. Obviously mine were already cooked at home on top of the stew, and as I've warmed them up, well, they sort of disintegrated and merged with the stew. So luckily in this light you can't really see what you're eating, but I just appear to have got very thick gravy in my stew now, because the dumplings have merged in with the stew. I think best idea is warm the stew up, but then you'd have to put your dumplings on top. They take 20 minutes, so different methods. Anyway, it should be ready soon, and we'll see what it's like, and I reckon I'm going to be full when I've eaten that lot. See you in a little bit. Well, believe it or not, I was too full to eat me pudding. It's a long time since I've not had a pudding, but that stew really filled me up. It didn't work out perfect because as I said, my dumplings disintegrated. But no, I've not eaten the steamed puddings and the custard. I was just too full. They are there if I want them later on, but no, I think I might make a miss with them tonight. I've just been having a little after dinner drink, limoncello. Again, this is left over from the Italian camp we did. So that is very lemony. I had a drop while I was setting the camera up, but yeah, it's nice, sweet, cleanses your palate, and very, very lemony. But limoncello, nice after dinner drink. I wouldn't say I want to drink a lot of it. One little bottle isn't bad at all. Something else I wanted to show you, I mentioned about getting it. It's a Garmin In Reach Mini, a satellite tracker. Now, last year on a couple of camps, I told my wife where I was going, left her a drawing, grid reference, everything. And then, for one reason or the other, I had to change locations. And I couldn't let her know. There was no phone contact up here, so I couldn't let her know. So that bit of paper was a waste of time, probably more problematic, because if I had any problems, they'd have gone there, and I was probably a couple of miles away. So that made me realise I ought to do something about it. So I did mention I would probably get myself a satellite tracker, I could call it. I went for this one. It seemed very lightweight, did everything I wanted to do. Not cheap, £315 from OS for the tracker itself, and then a monthly subscription. I went for the safety plan, and that's about £12 or £13 a month. For that, I can send quick text, that's just press it, send a message to my wife, I have arrived at my campsite, so she knows I'm there. I can link it to my phone and then type a more detailed message. The quick messages are unlimited. The actual messages you compose and send, on my plan I've got 10 a month. That's plenty. I might have one wild camp, I might go the odd walk, so yeah, that is plenty. It does track you, but that's something extra I'm not actually bothered about. It's also got guys, the main thing I got it for, it's got an SOS button on it. So if you fall down, you break your leg, you press the SOS button, it contacts the 24-hour emergency services, and one way or the other they will get somebody out to rescue you. That is the theory. I've got friends, they've fallen in the supermarket, the pavement, the garden, and they've broken wrists or limbs just falling there. So you can see how easy it is to fall up here. So it makes sense to cover yourself. So if the worst did happen, I ain't going to be left up here, you die of exposure. I've got this little device which should get me some help. It's also got, to give you a grid reference, and it's got electronic compass. I did have a GPS I used to bring, and that I only brought it to get the grid reference. So this does that. So I sold the GPS for 60 quid, and that went towards the cost of this. So I'd like to think, yeah, there's no reason, this will last me a long time, so nobody family-wise can say, look, you shouldn't be going out on your own, something could happen to you. Perhaps it can. I've got this, I'll be safe. So that is the main reason I've got it. Main reason's the SOS button, but the other things are very useful as well. It's good for me, and it's good for the people at home. So yeah, it's a good purchase. Expensive, but the sensible way to go. Now that wind has picked up a bit. It keeps, it quietens down, and then whoomph, it comes again, very blustery. I'm well guide and pegged out. I might nip out in a bit and just check that everything is secure, but I'm sure we're okay in that. I've got a little bit of shelter in this location as well. So I think I'll have a cup of coffee. I'll go and check me guys, and then I'll come back to you, and I've got a new whiskey to show you. The distillery you will recognise straight away, the whiskey perhaps not. So I'll have my last drop of limoncello, and I'll see you in a little bit. Now the whiskey we're looking at tonight, you'll see that it's the Aberlour brewery. Now I like the Aberlour 12-year-old. It's like a sherry cask whiskey, but I found this one in Tesco. Now the Gaelic Aberlour, it's cask and am, if I've pronounced that right, which basically means rare cask. So it's done in small batches, probably 12,000, I don't know if it's gallons or whatever, but they're done in small batches, and then so it's a little bit special in a way, not your run-of-the-mill whiskey. It retails in a lot of, you look online at the whiskey shops and that, they're asking 55 quid for it. I got it from Tesco for 37 quid at Christmas. I thought, yeah, and they do seem to be pushing it a bit. A lot of the supermarkets have got it at the, like 37, 40 quid, which I thought for, well, a whiskey like that, it's triple matured, 48%, non-chill filtered, although it's got a bit of colour in there, it's not a natural colour. I thought 37 quid, can't go wrong with that. It's still the same Aberlour bottle, and yeah, a very nice whiskey. I was just surprised at the variation in prices when you look online and that. Well, I've got the whiskey here, so we better sample it. It's not easy in attempt. Easier in my little pub. So that is it. So like I say, it's not its natural colour. It's a nice colour. It's probably, might be a little bit darker than your normal Aberlour. But very, very fruity nose to it. I mean, it's triple matured in 2 American oak casks, and then finally put in your Spanish Oloroso sherry casks. And I think the being in the sherry casks gives it a very, very fruity, like a Christmassy cake nose to it. And yeah, perhaps a bit of ginger or something like that, a bit of spice in it. Well, we might as well taste it. Definitely colder than I would normally drink it. But very, very fruity. Which will probably be, like I say, the sherry influence. And very spicy as well. Very smooth. It just glides down your throat and leaves such a lovely long finish in your mouth. Very similar to the Aberlour 12-year-old. So another sherry cask whiskey. But it's got like a nice, warming, long-lasting finish to it as it goes down. The taste lingers in your mouth. Now, I know I've not been out January camping. It was a busy month. Main thing, I lost my mother-in-law. So it wasn't right really to leave my wife when her mother had just died. She was a good age, she was 90, but at the end of the day, it's my wife's mother. So yeah, it's not a lot you can really say. For me, she was a good age. She was in a old people's home, and it wasn't the perfect life for her. So these things happen. It's all part of life. It's we'll all go that way eventually. So as long as you've had a good life, that's okay. But yeah, it wasn't right to leave my wife. So I thought, yeah, not gonna hurt. No camps through January. And then, yeah, things get a little bit easier with time. So I said, I'll go out early February, and she was fine with that. And I can contact her with my Garmin In Reach Mini 2 as well, just to make sure she's okay, which she is. But it's all part of life. While I'm still talking to you, I'm going to have another. It's no good drinking on your own when I can drink with all you out there. Nowhere to put anything. So I think I'll bid you good night. We've had a good day. I've stretched my muscles and exerted them coming up that hill. It felt really good. You had like a burn in your muscles and you thought, yeah, I can still do this. Let's get up there. Enjoyed it. It's a nice location. Little bit windy, but you can't have everything. So I'll see what sort of night sleep I have. So I might talk to you later if I make a drink. Otherwise, I'll see you in the morning. Night then. Well, good morning there. I'll just show you outside. As you can see, rather misty. I don't know if that'll show up, but there is like driving drizzle or very heavy mist. I can hear it on the tent, so I'm going to get drenched when I get out there. So I think all I can do is have me breakfast, get packed in the tent, and then out there drop the tent and off. It's not cold, it's just that it's not very nice. It's probably like low cloud and it's just blowing across. Anyway, we'll get on with breakfast and you never know, might pick up a bit. We'll shut that lot out for the time being. Get the stove on. I'm pleased to say I brought a very simple breakfast. Got a cup of coffee, couple of croissants and some jam. So at least I won't have really any washing up to do. And that's all I really want. It's like I say, it's not cold. That'll put me on, and then I can get packed up at that and make my way back down to the car. But nope, it does not sound nice out of there. But I'm looking forward to that cup of coffee. does sound a little bit better out there. It doesn't sound so rainy, so we might get away without getting drenched. I think because it's been breezy, I've no condensation really in here. It's pretty dry all over, although it's been probably a bit damp outside. I've no condensation at all. I think it's because there's air circulating, and it keeps it at bay. But it was a bit breezy last night. Surprisingly, I had a good night's sleep. I thought the noise would have kept me awake, but probably around midnight I'll have gone to sleep and looked at my watch and it were 5:30, so for me that's a pretty good night's sleep. So like I say, thought I'd have some croissants for a change. Don't always want too much in the morning. Basically I want to get my gear packed up and then head down. I don't think there'll be much to see because it looks thick mist out there. I thought it would be, that's what the forecast was. Very, very heavy cloud. So once I've finished this, it's packing up time, which I don't always enjoy, especially when you can't do it outside and you've got to pack everything up in the tent, but that's how it is. So I'll see you outside, all my gear packed up, rucksack on my back, ready to go. See you in a little bit. Well, that wasn't a very nice experience packing up in the rain. It's not a heavy rain, it's as you can see, I'm wet. It's just like drizzle being driven by the wind. So your hands are wet, you're pulling dirty pegs out, getting hold of a wet tent, trying to push it into a stuff site. No, not nice at all. But it's all packed up now and I'm ready to make my way back. I'm gonna walk down Fairbrook, follow the path. Might be a little bit more gentler than the steep path I came up. So yeah, it's an easy route back. I haven't left my glasses in the tent, I can assure you of that. I've got them in my pocket. It's pointless putting them on because they just get covered in rain straight away. I can see it all over the lens. So yeah, that brings another camp to the end. Next one will be in the pub shed. I've actually got two good ideas for some pub shed videos. So depending on the weather, I might do a couple of pub shed videos, or I might alternate it with a camp. How I feel, what the weather's like, we'll have to see. But I'm going to get back to my car and back home, and a lot of drying out as usual. So I'll thank you for watching as usual. Great to have you along, and I'll see you on the next one in the pub shed. Bye then.